Good afternoon, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Isaac Zablocki, and I'm the Director of Film Programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. And welcome back to the Israel Film Center Festival, which is going on this week and next. Please join us for upcoming films. Tonight, we have a sold-out screening of the film Honeymoon. We were hoping to do that on the roof, but it looks like due to the rain, it will be indoors. And then we have the Q&A for that film, I believe, tomorrow. So please join us for that at 1 p.m. tomorrow. You could watch the film virtually as well. That obviously there are tickets still available. Then on Thursday at 1 p.m. we have the Q&A for the film Kiss Me Kosher. If you have yet to see that one, please check that out and join us. I'll also add that Thursday at 7 p.m. Kelsey Grammer of Fraser Notary will be joining us on our rooftop at the JCC. Please spread the word and join us for that. Also available starting this Friday is the film Asya. So please check those all out and everything else coming up from the Israel Film Center. We'll have many more films coming your way this summer, both in person and virtual. So please join us. On to today's conversation. You are here for a very special conversation with the director of Here We Are, Nir Bergman. Nir, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, how are you guys? Good to be with you.
And I was saying to Nir before that we're just sorry not to have him here in person. Nir is the director of Broken Wings, Intimate Grammar, and Saving Netta. Intimate Grammar and Saving Netta, I believe we have on our streaming site, Israel Film Center Stream. You should be checking those out. And I'm actually Saving Netta, we played at this festival a couple of years ago. So his work is definitely as one of the leading directors in Israel, and Broken Wings, I think, was one of the films that first entered the international market for Israeli films and kind of paved the way for many others. And I really loved Here We Are. Honestly, it was one of my favorites of the festival. It's a small festival this year, so they're all a little bit of my favorites, but I think Here We Are is a film that really tells a lovely story and has such universal appeal. And I wanted to know, Nir, first of all, where did the story come from?
Well, the story came from the writer's life, Dana Idisi's. She's a very talented screenplay writer. And I guess it came out from a question she had. What will happen when my father and my autistic brother will have to separate one day? I think that was the drive for the writing. Of course, all of the other parts of the film are not autobiography of her life, but the relationship and the nuances and the love between the father and the son came out from her life and from her family.
And why did you want to tell this story? How did you get involved, and why was it important for you?
Well, I met Dana years ago. She came out with this story she told me about, and I started sort of script editing is usually something that you do for a few months. This was a few years of work, walking side by side with her, and helping her with the writing of the story. I guess for me, the story is about fatherhood. This is my main connection to the main theme of the story. When my first child was born, I felt that I don't have the tools to defend him from the cruelness of the world. And I didn't know he looked so fragile for me, for my eyes. And now, he's big, he's going to the army, he's 18. But Aaron's kid stays a kid mentally. stays so young and vulnerable, and therefore it's so hard for him to let go. Yeah, and to understand that although his kid is on the autistic spectrum, he is growing up. And I guess this is something that we all can share, this feeling that we find ourselves defending our kids very much, but also a little bit sometimes hiding behind their back from our life.
I think, first of all, it played, this weekend was Father's Day, and I thought it played very nicely for Father's Day and having that father-son relationship. And often, I think there's not enough emphasis, and in our changing world, I mean, switching out our classical characters of what a father means and what a mother means, we don't see enough films that actually tell a modern father story, like what you're just mentioning now with that kind of relationship. So I felt it was really relatable to all fathers, of course, or modern fathers today, but also to mothers and to any parent, and really anyone with that kind of relationship. And I thought that played completely universally. I ask this question often: what makes this? I mean, it's so funny. This is, you get a little, for those of us who can't visit Israel right now, you get a little tour through Israel, which is lovely, and we're grateful for that. But what makes this story specifically Israeli in your mind? Is there something that makes it Israeli?
I didn't have this question. I answered a few questions regarding the film, but I didn't get the chance to answer this one. Um, I don't know. I think the theme is so universal. It's about our wish to defend our kids, and how hard it is for us to divide ourselves from them. So I think it's totally universal and could take place actually anywhere. So
I agree. It's completely universal, and of course, what makes it great is that every single physical detail is completely Israeli, from the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they and the places they go, and I think having that richness there allows it to be a very authentic story. And play very well. I did want to note also that the screenwriter, Dana, is the creator of the TV series On the Spectrum, which we've shown here through our Real Abilities Film Festival, and of course has moved on to being a well-known show since then, and some people have followed it, and I recommend.
It's a great show. I think they're doing it in English. I think Amazon.
Right, I hear there's an American version in the making, and also tells the story of young adults with on the autistic spectrum. Can we talk a little bit about the casting process? Let's dive into that and tell us a little bit about how you found your two leads.
Well, we usually we start with the hero. So we started with the character of the father, but very fast we understood that actually we're looking for a match, for two characters that will come together and will match as father and son. You mentioned Dana Idis's show On the Spectrum, which is actually not about people definitely on the autistic spectrum, but actually three people living in one apartment, and the three of them are with special needs. One is on the autistic spectrum, and the other two, I don't know how to define it in my poor English. I'm sorry, but the three of them are on the with special needs. So this came out, I guess, about a year before we casted. So Dana already had an experience, a huge experience about wanting and trying to cast people with special needs to her TV series, to her TV show. And I know it's a very big issue in America, but You have to understand that in Israel, there's um, minor options to this sort of casting. I don't think there. Maybe it's going to get more common, but right now, if you're looking for an actor who's on the autistic spectrum, it will be very, very hard for you to find. And then he will have to act as Uri, which will be even harder. Though we did try and look for people on the autistic spectrum because this could be so magnificent if we could do that. But we were not able to. So we started looking for father and sons, and Noam, who plays Uri, came to an audition, and it was really spectacular. You say he was marvelous.
Yeah.
He was marvelous in doing the character, and we really felt that he has this sort of a magic inside him, and we asked where did you get this experience, and he told us that his father was a manager of people of a place for people on the autistic spectrum when he was young. Because Noam is really big-hearted and a very special person, he became friends with his kids, and one of them became a real good friend of him. So he sort of had the character inside him. And of course, we worked a long time for reaching the character of Uri, but Noam had something inside him that had this character I mean, he's really talented and he can do a lot of other stuff, but he sort of grew up to do Uri. Right now, he is after the army, and he is working with people on the autistic spectrum in a hostel, in a place for them. And he told me that he's really proud of what we did in presenting people on the autistic spectrum. We had a lot of research going on. We went into the places and we met parents and kids this sort of age, like in their 20s, to understand, to really go deep and understand how to build the character in a very specific, special way of our own, I would say. And when we matched Shai Avivi and Noam Imbar, it was like they were like pairing in front of the camera. It was like a pair. They were so true to one each other. And Shai told me later on that he said that he's feeling that when he touches Uri in the film, because there's a lot of affection between them, he feels like it's his own son. So something really, there's something happened between them from the first moment.
And Shai Avivi, of course, for those who are not familiar, Shai Avivi is best known for his comedic roles, I would say. Although he's done a couple of dramatic roles in recent years and has gotten a lot of praise for those roles. But I would say he's not your, I mean, Shai Avivi, again, is not your obvious choice, but more looking for comedy. Was that?
Yeah, but because the character is a little bit like a sad Charlie Chaplin. So Shai really stepped into these shoes really easily because he brings out a little bit of sarcasm, that the character has, because the character of the father himself is very fragile. He's a little bit afraid of the world himself. And this can come out with, having like elbows, like being a little bit cynical, ironical. And Shai has this inside him. And it's quite common that actors that are good in comedy, they can sometimes make the best dramatic actors.
And I thought they really all did a great job and were really wonderful at this. I'm going to ask two more questions, and then folks from the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and then we'll open up your mic to ask questions as well. But I think that this film is a lot about growing up and leaving home, and that emotion of separation, letting go, and I followed that as kind of a thread through the film and something that I personally took out of it. And I'm wondering if that was your intention, were you exploring a specific theme here?
A specific what? Sorry.
A specific theme, was that a specific theme you were looking to explore?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's, you know what? I'm not sure I understood the question. Maybe you can,
Yeah.
I understood the beginning that it's a coming of age film, and it is. It's a coming of age film, actually for the father more than the son, maybe both of them. But you, you said something,
I think
you
I
commented
think
on it.
it's coming of age, and it's also about that separation of being able to let go.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think from the very beginning we see this relationship that really, that was my thread that I followed through, of of a father having to learn how to let go, which is something that a father needs to do at any age.
Yes, it's true. It's true because, we care so much and we are so, we fear so much for our kids, but then all these things, they make us blind to see them and to separate them from ourselves and to understand that maybe our fears are not their fears, maybe our fears are our fears and their fears are different. So yeah, it's absolutely about that. And it is a coming of age film. um, Absolutely. For, from my point of view, it's more of a coming of age of the father who
Yeah.
needs to understand and to learn something about himself. Um, the way he sees the world is that he's the only one who can take care of Uri. And while the film is going on, we feel the same at the beginning. We think the mother is the bad witch and he's like the saint. But as the film goes on, the audience understand before him that he's not the complete saint, and maybe the picture is more complicated, and maybe he's a little bit hiding behind the back of his son to ignore the failure of his life and the failure of his career, and at the end of the film he needs to think now, to think of what to do in his life, maybe to go, maybe to meet his brother again, maybe to meet his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend again. He will need to figure a new way for himself.
That was going to be my next question. What comes next for him? And I'm just really glad that you didn't choose a Thelma and Louise ending. And it could have gone, road trip films. You never know which way they're going to go. So I'm glad. I'm
Never
glad.
crossed my mind. No, our other options were, maybe he's going to the beach alone. Maybe he's going back to see his brother. Maybe he's going back to the pizza house and then suddenly seeing there are more options than just one pizza. Um, for instance, you can have a pizza with mushrooms or stuff like that, because the father diminished his wheels for the size of the wheels of his son. But after understanding more and more about the screenplay, we decided to end it on his close-up at the ending. Yeah.
I think that leaves it for everyone to really think about. And I have to say, I mean, it's not exactly the same situation as in Israel, but this topic is a huge topic here for parents. I mean, in general, all parents need to learn more how to let go, especially in our helicopter parenting culture here in America. But specifically for adults with autism, children who have aged out, who are no longer children, adults with autism here in America. It's really a tough decision to figure out those next steps, and there's not enough resources there. And we have at the JCC, of course, our adaptations program, which is a whole program specifically for 20s and 30s who are on the spectrum, who are looking for figuring out those next steps, and it's in huge demand.
The dilemmas are so hard. What we met, in our research is really it's much harder than the film. The dilemmas are extremely hard, and it's real dilemma. It's not you don't know, you don't know what would you have done if you're in their shoes, and you have to choose these choices. It's very hard, and we saw how much love there is and how big is the love, and the bigger the love, the dilemmas are even harder. And yeah, it's not easy, not easy, and you don't know what is good. In the film, we ended it in this way because it's a film, and we wanted to have an optimistic ending for our characters. But in real life in Israel, I can tell you that, wow, it's so hard. The dilemmas are so hard, and I don't know what is right to do.
I don't see that there's any questions from the audience. I'm going to ask two more that I have that I wanted to ask. One question, first of all, the film gave you Best Director for the Ophir Awards in Israel. You've directed quite a few films. You also were the director of B'Tipul, the Israeli original version of In Treatment. And I want to know, how is this different for you? Was there anything different and new for you through this project?
Well, it's the first film that I've directed that I didn't write the screenplay. So this was really interesting for me, to really understand how meaningful is actually directing, more than in a usual screenplay that I would write, because you have to really be there for the writer, but also be there for yourself and follow your themes. And this was really good. I think the communication between Dana and me was really good, and it made us, both of us, better. I enjoy her screenplay so much, and therefore I can really enjoy the film much more than usually, because I'm less I'm less criticizing myself, because I didn't write it, so I can enjoy it more. But I have to tell you the truth. The first time that we got the money, the first part of it, half of the money from the film fund, I was like, oh no, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to direct this film. I don't know how to direct the autistic spectrum. I was afraid that I will ruin the screenplay because I loved it so much. And I love Dana's parents and her brother very much. And actually, the best reaction for me for the film was from her father. When he told me that that he loved the film, I was like, okay, I did my job.
I have to say, I'm really glad that an experienced director like you directed this. I think a first-time director coming into this, or a director at the beginning of their career, would not have handled it as, you see a maturity in the cinematic language, and it's not going for gimmicks. It's actually, telling a story, and the work with the actors and the cinematography is just quite confident, and I think that was a good choice. So I'm glad you did it. We have a question here from Lori from the audience. Lori, you are on the air.
Hey. Sorry, you might as well be able to see me too. I just was wondering, you were talking about how you ended the film, you wanted to end the film on an optimistic note. Did you ever consider not ending it on an optimistic note? I was getting very concerned toward the end while I was watching it that it wasn't going to end happily, or it was going to be even more, of an open ending, because a lot of Israeli films have such open endings.
It didn't cross our mind. We knew that the ending would be that the father and son will separate. For sure, it was obvious for us, and we saw it as a good thing. We wanted it, our options was to make it even more sweeter, For instance, we had a shot that we actually shot it. That I don't know. You remember the painting that he painted and his brother bought? So one ending was that he gets like from in the mail. He gets the painting with this frame, and the brother writes to him, you choose the frame, and you think the frame of the relationship, and so that was a little bit more optimistic. We had a lot of talking about the ending, but in one point we suddenly understood. I think Dana understood it before me. It took me longer time to understand that this moment filled with emotions and filled with deep understanding and questions not solved yet, but the main question is solved, that you need to let go. So yeah, I think it's an uplifting ending, although it's very emotional at the same time.
The film is doing the festival circuit right now. Where is it going? What's next for the film, and what's next for you?
I think for the film, next, I guess, is coming out on the big screen. It's coming out right now in London very soon. Came out in Japan. Everything is under the Corona cloud, but hopefully people will come also to the States in cinemas. In Israel, it will come out in September. Tell all your friends that they need to go and see the film. And it's coming out in a lot of other countries, but everything, as I said, is under the virus that needs to let us go, let our people free.
Yes, but hopefully it'll be out sometime in the next year here. So please do tell your friends. What is it called in Hebrew? And this was my final question. Why did you choose the title?
It's called Hine Anachnu. Well, why did we choose the title? I guess we looked for something that had the couple together, like a couple. And we had this frame in the bus, showing them the reflection of them, and the name came out of that. Hine Anachnu, it's like it's here and it's gone, Yeah.
And luckily translates well. Here we are. Folks, please do tell your friends. It's available this week at the Israel Film Center Festival. And of course, then it'll come out theatrically and we'll be sure to let you know. And tell your friends in Israel too. Hine Anachnu.
Absolutely.
Coming out in September.
Tell your friends in England and in Spain and in Italy if you have friends in Italy.
Nir, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for a wonderful film.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you soon in person.
Absolutely. Thank you
Folks,
very
join
much.
join us for more events coming up all week, and of course more throughout the summer. Stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.